What's going on, guys? 360 Digital Closing Bell here. I am your humble correspondent, Michael Tanner. We are live on YouTube from an undisclosed location here in Denver, Colorado on this gorgeous Thursday, July 9th, 2020. Wild day. We're going to be covering all the fallout from the Dakota Access Pipeline. But I want to bring in here the executive producer of the show, the purveyor of the show, and the director and publisher of the world's greatest website, oilandgas360.com, Stuart Turley. Stu, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
It is a really good day. It's a gorgeous day here. Super hot, actually. I got my vitamin D in heavy today. We have a wild day in the markets today. We're, a new IPO in the energy markets came out today. We'll cover that. Also, we're going to look at some fallout from the Dakota Access Pipeline. And really, we're just going to cover why it's probably a huge deal. I think we already knew that. We'll look at the energy equity market specifically. Okay day for them. Stu's got some stuff in international news. But guys, please subscribe. 360 Digital Closing, iTunes, Spotify, or Entercom's YouTube channel. The best way to stay up to date on all of the energy markets. And when we look at the overall markets today, just from an equity side, stocks really slid today off some really bad earnings news. Walgreens was the biggest lagger in the Dow Jones at 8.2% down for Walgreens after a terrible, worse than expected third quarter earnings. And the other issue is that shares of companies that are going to be benefiting from the economy reopening. I mean, we're looking at Delta, American, United, Royal Caribbean, Coles, all huge parts of the Dow Jones. Since this coronavirus numbers and some of this lockdown procedures are beginning to roll back up, that's really what's just been lagging the overall equity markets down. SPY finished down half a percentage point, 31.52. But NASDAQ tech stocks, I mean, as I mentioned, companies that would benefit from the economy reopening are doing bad. Tech stocks or companies that would benefit maybe from more of an isolated society as we're more relying on tech, up huge. We talk about 84 point gain for NASDAQ, 1075 or 10,750. That's a 1% increase on that index, while the Dow Jones falls 1.3 percentage points, 25,706. So that's how you can, to give you an idea, that's how the different indices work. Dow Jones much more heavier in some of the industrial and maybe more of the economy reopening sort of stuff. NASDAQ is, as I joke, is the tech stocks. It's just anything that, anything technology is probably going to become more of a factor as we move forward here. Crude oil has a really bad day as well, down 3.5 points, percentage points, or $1.30 down to 39.51. I mean, we're lucky we haven't fallen too bad. I think the investors or traders kind of looked at the build yesterday and started really factoring in, especially with some of this coronavirus numbers rolled up. Back into the curve, though, actually doesn't do quite as bad, though, down to 41.32. That's a 2.04% drop on that. Natural gas, as always, gets pounded down to $1.77, 2.6 percentage points off that back end of the curve. Stays fairly flat, though, only down 3 cents. $2.75 or 73 cents, excuse me. XOP, which is our E&P securities contract, 47.68, down 5.5 percentage points or $2.63. So, now we are below that threshold for 50, which we like to see. So not a good day for energy equities. OIH, which are oil field services contract, 113.14 cents. That's down 6.2 percentage points or $7 on that. So, I mean, really, we didn't have that many big movers. Our biggest downside mover on the day for equities was negative 10%. Gulfport Energy down to $1.08. Next Decade Energy Corporation came right underneath them at $1.75. QEP Resources down to $1.16 or 9 percentage points. Really, just 9-10 percentage points in the downside. So you can tell most indices were down. If we look on the upside, there wasn't many really in the green. There was only a handful, maybe about 20 of the 151 stocks that we cover here. So that kind of gives you an idea of the breakdown on the upside. New Concept Energy up 4 percentage points to $1.21. Barnwell Industries up to $1.01, up 4.5 percentage points. And Chaparral Energy up to 53 cents or 5.4 percentage points on the index. Guys, I encourage you to check out the Oil and Gas Conference, which is the place to find this year's oil and gas conferences. Every year they come to you guys, bringing the best IR and investor relations and E&P presentations. This year for the 25th anniversary, they're going completely digital. So you can watch this from the comfort of your own home, eating Cheetos or pretzels, as sometimes Stu likes to bust out. Guys, if you want to know how executives have navigated COVID-19 and how they really position their companies, it's going to all be explained to the oil and gas conference, over 40 presenting companies, and you'll be able to see them all from the comfort of your own home. I recommend going to the oil and gas conference to check out more. Stu, what's on the international news desk today?
Hey, Michael, we got a couple things. Our good old friends over in China, the Hudong shipyard has sold one of the Yamal LNG carriers, very large. They've got it going to Novatek. Here's the Novatek, world's largest natural gas producer up out of the Arctic. Okay. Here's the interesting part of this. They have 17 more that they're pumping out on these orders, and they are leasing them to companies. So they're maintaining title and control of all those LNG carriers. Kind of a wild business move for them.
It's a wild business move. When you told me that story before we hopped on here, I was a bit shocked.
China is keeping control of everything they can.
Yeah,
The next
expect nothing less from the Chinese.
No, we don't. And the next one is it seems to be that the energy companies are morphing. We've got BP investing in $770 million in India's green energy and solar. So they've created a fund to work with India, trying to go ahead and be in that green space. So they're trying to get out of oil and gas. Morphing is kind of crazy. The other one that we have out there is there are two energy veterans that are one from Shell and another from Exxon that are creating their own hydrogen investment fund. Hydrogen has failed 3 times before. They're going to try to get it done now again, and Germany is looking to really back this as well. So keep an eye out for hydrogen as one of the ones coming up in the near future. Back to you.
Yeah, wild stuff at the international news desk. We'll be covering it all. I mean, fairly light day on the U.S. equity side. I mean, I think a lot of the stuff comes from the fallout of the Dakota Access Pipeline. I saw a tweet today. If you're not on EFT Twitter, I highly recommend following. But talking about really the implications and the financial fallout from shutting the Dakota Access Pipeline. As we know, there's 570,000 barrels of crude. Diverting that all to rail. Stu, you brought up a great point. There's a 24-hour rail storage thing that you have to get on, but also the cost. There's about a $4 to $5 differential if you kind of looking at the different sources between what it costs to go by pipeline via rail. Stu, at these $40 oil, $39 oil, those $5 does not help free cash flow, does not make your economic balance sheet well. So if Dakota Access is actually forced to shut down, and this all goes, I think you're going to see specifically these Bakken players, and you're going to increase the number of bankruptcies that you're going to see specifically from that Bakken. And speaking of bankruptcies, that's sort of been the story for the past 2 weeks. Who would have thought we'd be IPOing energy companies right now? But alas, they're happening. East Resources Acquisition, which is a blank check company formed by Terrence Pagula targeting North American energy industry, filed on Thursday with the SEC for a $300 million IPO. If that name sounds familiar, Terry Pagula, he owns the Buffalo Bills. So for all that success in running the Bills, he's really done nothing over there. But he's also the chairman and founder of a company called East Resources, which was sold to Royal Dutch Shell in 2010 for $4.7 billion. The Boca Raton based company plans to raise $300 million by offering 300 million units at $10. My reaction, an oil and gas company based in Boca Raton. Stu, what could go wrong? What could go wrong?
As long as they don't kneel for the anthem, anything can go wrong.
No kidding. So, but Terrence Pagula, owner of the Buffalo Bills, filing for an IPO. This is a very, this is a good sign. I mean, if they can actually raise this 300 million IPO, that would be a good sign for the public equity markets. I mean, we sort of laugh. I saw Boca Raton based Florida company.
We would be thrilled, Michael.
I giggled a little.
We'd be thrilled to see the IPO start.
Exactly. So we kid a little bit about Boca Raton and we kid at the rest, but this would be a great sign for the energy capital markets if this IPO goes successful. So this is something we're going to be watching, and it's actually a positive note to sort of leave this Thursday with. So we'll be following this one and see what happens there. Anything else you think we're missing, Stu?
I don't think so. I think you got a hall pass to give out.
No, we got tomorrow. What do you mean? We got tomorrow, Stu. We're trying to let people have a 4-day weekend again. That was last weekend. Oh. We had a 4-day weekend. We got tomorrow. So no hall pass, but we're going to go and let you finish up your day and get back to work. Thank you for checking out the 360 Digital Closing Bell. See you guys tomorrow.